One of the really nasty facts of life is the problem that our attention is limited, and actually our ability to be attentive is diminishing, is on a steep decline. And if you compare the attention span, which was researched during the 1990s, compared to 20 years later, like now, or recent years, the attention span was diminished by about 1/3. So there are different factors, of course. But the main point here is if you want to study successfully, you really should try to protect your attention and your attentional space. Attentional space is the virtual space in your brain which is occupied by conscious processing of information. And this conscious processing of information is about 40 bits, which is information units per second, which sounds quite a bit, but on the other hand, during the same time, while you have about 40 bits consciously processed, about 11 million bits are processed unconsciously. So one problem is how to focus and how to make the best use of these 40 bits. Also, there is kind of neurological problem associated with this fact, which means that you have this attentional space, and if you have the information and and you are monotasking, usually a proper processing happens, which means you have a task, you focus on it, the information is processed, you work with it, and the information basically will be, or the memory of this information will be facilitated by the hippocampus in your brain. That's kind of bit of your brain. So we have the regular memory, the natural memory, and then we have on the other side multitasking. And if you're multitasking, something happens in your brain. Instead of making good use of your hippocampus, the processing switches basically to your basal ganglia, which is another part of the brain, and there is no proper processing possible. And this results because the basal ganglia are not meant to facilitate your memory, that you have a memory failure. So, well, monotasking, basically proper processing, hippocampus, natural memory, multitasking, usage of basal ganglia, no proper processing, memory failure. So just to sum it up, you might be multitasking regarding small routine things, like you can be walking and maybe listening to something, or you are walking and thinking about things. So these are routine tasks which your body easily executes, but you can't multi-focus. And this is especially true regarding interruptions. So if your train of thought is disrupted by an outside factor, usually it takes about 23 minutes to return to the same attention level as before. And even worse, if you yourself disrupt your train of thought, then it takes almost 30 minutes, 29 minutes, until you are back on the same attention level. So, takeaway number one, we can't really multi-focus. And we have to protect our attention against disruption, interruption, environmentally and by ourselves.